How many more welfare recipients do we need in this country? 844-500-4242. Okay, closer to home. How about some domestic bad news from the new Biden administration? The Congressional Budget Office came out today with an estimate about how many jobs would be destroyed in the U.S. by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. 1.4 million jobs will be destroyed. 1.4 million jobs. The nonpartisan federal agency found that the Raise the Wage Act, they always use euphemisms for these things, like, the Secure Communities Act. That means giving illegal alien drug dealers driver's licenses in Massachusetts, because that makes the communities more secure, don't you know? So what they could say, they could call it the Raise the Welfare Rolls Act, would see the federal deficit balloon to a whopping $54 billion, almost double what it is now if enacted next month. Spending for unemployment compensation would increase under the bill because more workers would be unemployed, the CBO report forecast. Oh, boy. 844-500-4242. The cost of goods and services would increase as employers would try to pass the burden of higher wages on to consumers. Those higher prices, in turn, would lead consumers to purchase fewer goods and services. Employers would consequently produce fewer goods and services, and as a result, they would tend to reduce the employment of workers at all wage levels. So, Jack Kennedy, the former president, used to say, a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, this is a case where a falling tide will drop all boats and beach ever more of them. 844-500-4242. 781 says, I'm sure the family of Kate Steinle is suffering undue stress. Yeah, Kate Steinle is the woman who was killed in San Francisco by an illegal alien from Mexico who had been arrested like 5 times. I mean, there's tens of thousands of those people, the angel moms. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Everyone knows I love coffee, and I'm not giving it up. I've been told to limit the number of cups to 3 a day and stop by noon, but hey, that's not happening. I knew it would keep me up from time to time, but no longer with Balance 7. Now you ask, what is Balance 7? Balance 7 is a clear mineral liquid you take 3 times a day to break down the acid in your body. And in my case, the acid in all the coffee I drink. When it does this, you feel better, and for me, I sleep better. It also cures acid reflux and heartburn. I'm often asked to try products and can be very skeptical on claims, but with Balance 7, it was all 100% true. I've been taking it for 2 weeks now. With Balance 7, I didn't feel my energy starting to flag as the day wore on, because by sleeping better at night, it also gave me mental clarity during the day. Balance 7 is a highly alkalizing concentrate. That means it reduces those acids that build up in your body. It's also known for reducing the acid reflux and heartburn. All you have to do is drink a small shot of the liquid 3 times a day, and you'll feel the difference. It's made of safe, all natural ingredients, and it works perfectly in harmony with your body, so it's balanced. If you suffer from heartburn, acid reflux, or sleep issues, you should give Balance 7 a try. It's made in America and has sold over 6 million units worldwide. Order the 8-ounce 12-pack supply at balance7.com, balance the number 7.com. When you put in code word Howie, you'll save $10 and you'll also get free shipping. It's really a good product. Balance the number 7.com, balance the number 7.com. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Old New England Soap. From bath bombs to candles for her and shave soap for him, Old New England Soap has what you need for Valentine's Day. Order today at oldnesoap.com.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists.
Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry, white guys.
Angry, white man.
Angry, white, old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote.
All these angry white people.
Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist.
Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incel.
You tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer Rube demo.
Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitist with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading.
They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at in the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just 1 scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. Right here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony. Hey, this guy's a great big phony.
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my. There's no silencing him. They've tried.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Howie Carr.
For all your last-minute Valentine's Day needs, head to 1-800-Flowers. Right now, get 24 multicolored roses for $34.99, or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. It's getting late. Valentine's Day is only 6 days away. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Howie. That's the last-minute spot. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be watching any live coverage of the impeachment trial?
No.
91% say they will not.
Yeah, the cable TV ratings are plunging across the board, and I don't think this is going to resurrect them, even for a week or two. Beth, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Beth.
Hi, Howie. I think any governor that cares about their state needs to buy all of the customers that show up a one-way airline ticket to Washington, D.C. When Donald Trump signed executive orders, many times the Democrats simply ignored them. And I think that because this is an illegitimate administration, they're basically, just fakes that showed up and they've taken over the White House. People who care about their states need to ignore the edicts that are coming from Washington, D.C. right now. I mean,
how about some lawsuits, Beth? I think of the lawsuits that went out, like for instance, the travel ban. Remember that? He had every right to do that, and the courts ruled with him every way. But all these woke attorneys general went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal or other liberal hotbeds and got these rulings to stop Trump from enforcing these things. And it was good for the country. The travel bans stopped terrorist attacks. The closing the southern border stopped the influx of disease-ridden, indigent, welfare collecting, in many cases, criminals from coming into the country. Now they're reopening the gates. They're trying to recreate the chaos and the turmoil of the Obama years. You're right, but I don't. No one has the stones. No one's filing any executive orders to stop any of this stuff because everybody, all the Republicans are spineless, or most of them. 844-500-4242. Mr. Garcia, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Hello, Mr. Howie Carr. How you doing? Yesterday, on Sunday and Saturday, you remember the mayor shut down Monday?
Yes.
What happened Monday? You had 800 Ecuador. You want to vote for the president of Ecuador. Down in Ecuador, you had about 800 people waiting online to vote for different countries. The Ecuador.
You mean the Ecuadorians voting in their national elections in Newark?
Yes, he had about 800.
Mr. Garcia, first, I have to ask you the main question. Were they wearing masks?
No. No. Everybody was eating and talking. And
how dare they?
Called the North Police. I called the North Police because he's near my house. And I said, what the hell?
So, Mr. Garcia, I don't understand this. The mayor will lecture you at the very least, maybe even write a fine for you, or have his cops write a fine if you don't wear a mask. But these Ecuadorians can go down and have a party and vote, and no one's going to stop them from going around without a mask.
And then I called the North Mayor. I said, Mr. Garcia, I'm sorry. We under control. And I say, you supposed to be under control before you signed. The mayor gives the license.
You understand, Mr. Garcia, New Jersey has an even higher death rate than the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I think New Jersey may be number one, even above New York. Maybe I think it's New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts. Thanks for the call, Mr. Garcia. I'm really not surprised, though, that people who aren't U.S. citizens would be given more opportunity to party hardy than American citizens. And I don't think you're shocked either. Stephen, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Stephen.
All right. Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, anyway, so back to the subject when you were talking about the federal minimum wage and you're against raising it. The federal minimum wage now is $7.25 an hour.
Yes.
And most of the states that are still at $7.25, $8 are almost all Republican states. They're almost all in the South. And they almost always have a lower unemployment rate than the states that have higher minimum wages, do they not? They have a higher unemployment. What?
They have lower unemployment rates than the states with higher minimum wages, right?
What they have more of is more welfare recipients because the people keep.
Really? Do you? So you think that New York has fewer people on welfare than Mississippi? Is that what you're saying, or Florida? Is that what you're saying? You can't be. You can't be serious.
Yeah. Per capita, yes, Howie. Per capita.
Yeah, just keep have some more, Stephen. Have some more Kool-Aid, okay? Joe, you're next with how there's nothing like raising the minimum wage to get more people back to work. Hey, they're going to double the minimum wage. Hey, I work in a restaurant. I pay my tipped employees $2.16 an hour, and they make the rest of it on minimum wage. Now I'm going to have to raise the minimum wage to $15 from $2.16. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hire some more hospitality help. I'm going to hire some more bartenders and waitresses and busboys. Right, Stephen. You sound like you've done a lot. You've had a lot of experience at the dreaded private sector. Joe, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Howie. How are you?
Good.
So I met you maybe 7, 8, 10 years ago. You were doing a book signing at the Yellow Umbrella down in Chatham.
Yes.
And I brought you a bunch of clams. So let me tell you, I love the show. And my question is, and I'll get off the air. I heard, Jeff this morning. Did you hear about the article? And I know her last name is Ball. I can't remember her first name.
Oh, in Time magazine. Yes, I got that. I'll talk about that in the 5 o'clock hour. Okay, Joe. It's a very depressing story to read because basically the deep state is bragging about how they fixed the election, although they don't use the word. They say they corrected it so that it would have the proper outcome. That's the word they use. The phrase. They would have the proper outcome of the election, and they all got together. The Chamber of Commerce, the left-wing public sector unions, the rioters, the looters, the arsonists. They all got together to assure the proper outcome of the election. I'm Howie Carr.
Congratulations, New England. You did it. You made it through 2 months of torturous, nonstop, ear-jarring, teeth-clenching, blood-pressure-raising radio noise. Those nerve-grating Matthews carols are now just a distant memory, echoing through the canyons of your mind with no sugary aftertaste. But it's a whole new year, and we've come up with whole new ways to annoy you. For example, remember those Matthews carols you thought were just a distant memory echoing through the canyons of your mind? Well, guess what? They're now and forevermore sitting fat, dumb, and happy on the video portion of our wicked awesome website, MatthewsBrothers.com. But they're not the only videos we have out there. We also have videos on such useful topics as understanding condensation, how to properly install one of our windows, and even a video on how to get the sash back into the frame once you've accidentally removed it and there's a storm coming and the factory is closed and your wife is yelling at you to fix it now. We even got one of those. You can learn more about our wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
I know he always asks me tough questions, and he always has an edge to him, but I like him anyway.
Now that you're president and you're saying there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months, what happened to 2 months ago when you were talking declaratively about I'm going to shut down the virus? When President Trump was imposing travel restrictions in March, specifically on China, then candidate Biden called it xenophobic and fear-mongering. So now President Biden is putting travel restrictions on people coming in from other countries. What word do we use to describe that?
Well, I don't think that's quite a fair articulation.
Why weren't President Biden and all members of the Biden family masked at all times on federal lands last night if he signed an executive order that mandates masks on federal lands at all times?
He was celebrating an evening of a historic day.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon.
We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Christmas.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920, not 2020.
Here are some rapid fire questions with Taylor Cormier. If you had to live in a state besides Massachusetts, which would you choose?
Montana. No question about it. When is the last time you've heard of anything happening in Montana? The answer is
Taylor.
I haven't. It's quiet. Nobody's going to bother you.
Taylor.
Yes.
Do you have the Jen Psaki when Ducey asks her about how it's a good in the public interest not to deport illegal
Yes, I do.
aliens?
I do have
You have that? Where is that?
Yes.
Or you just get it?
I don't. Yeah, we just got it a little while ago.
Okay. We'll do it after I speak to Paris. Okay.
Learning as you go. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I think that's why I go antiquing on the weekends.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite TV show?
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason is the most hilarious person on television ever.
What is your favorite soda?
I'm not a big soda guy. It's got to be a special occasion for me to drink soda, but I'm partial to Dr. Pepper.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. The impeachment trial, the second annual Donald J. Trump impeachment extravaganza, as a Republican congressman from California called it, begins tomorrow in the Senate. And joining us now on the line is Paris Denard. He's a Republican operative. He works for the RNC, now the Republican National Committee. Paris, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I don't know. I've been given all the stories a good leaving alone pretty much for a long time. But why don't you fill everybody in on what we should expect tomorrow as this begins? How long? First of all, how long is it going to go on?
Well, this is a conundrum for the Democrats because they know that every hour, every day that they spend on this partisan impeachment charade is time away from American citizens getting COVID relief through economic stimulus. And so this bill is important to Democrats. It's important to the radical left, progressive on the Democrat side, and they want it to get passed because they campaigned on it, and still it has not been delivered to the American people. And people are still hurting economically because of these draconian measures that are keeping the country on lockdown. And so starting tomorrow, there's going to be about 4 hours equally divided, up to 16 hours per side, beginning around noon. And one of the former president's attorneys is Orthodox Jew, and so he has to observe the Sabbath on Friday evening. And so if things are going past that, he's already asked and made a request to stop and then resume after the Sabbath in accordance to his faith tradition, which I think is appropriate. So it could go into, the point being, into next week, which again further delays Americans having the Senate actually work on something productive and that's going to actually impact our lives, which are the bills that are before them, especially related to
I know, Paris, this is not a trial in the Anglo-American jurisprudence sense of the word, but still, the fact is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has walked away from this, as was probably the smart move for him. So the presiding judge is going to be Senator Pat Leahy, who's also a member of the jury. Now, this is rather unprecedented. That it reminds me of the old Rolling Stones song "Casino Boogie." Judge and jury walk out hand in hand, but in this case, the judge is a member of the jury. I mean, what kind of proceeding is this?
It's a charade. It's a political stunt that is meant to try to damage the name and reputation of the former president in the eye of the public opinion. That's what this is about. It's not about the Constitution, because the Constitution is very clear that there's no mechanism for this to be done for a private citizen, which Donald J. Trump is at this current time. It's not a court that would be anything resemblance of what would happen in the real world, because, like you just pointed out, you can't be judge and jury, and at that point be biased. There's no doubt that Patrick Leahy, the senator, is biased, and we already know where he's coming from. He's not impartial like the Supreme Court justice would be, Justice Roberts. And so we know that the American people are going to be on full display to see the charade and the hypocrisy of the Democrats in an unconstitutional event that's going to start tomorrow. And
what's the latest on witnesses, Paris? What's the latest on witnesses? No witnesses, or I thought that McConnell and Schumer were getting together to make sure there were no witnesses, because I mean, I think Schumer knows that they've taken this farce about as far as they can, and that there's only a downside for them at this point. You know, they've raised they wanted to raise a lot of money. They have raised, I'm sure, millions of dollars, but at this point, you know, they've sucked all the cash out of their contributors, haven't they? I mean, and now they're just going to irritate people who voted for Trump and who have a sense of fair play.
I mean, the last thing that they wanted, I haven't heard the details about witnesses, but I think the last thing they want to do is have the former president's legal team call up witnesses like Maxine Waters or AOC.
Or Chuck Schumer, for that matter. Call Chuck Schumer as a witness.
Absolutely. Right, for the things that they have said that could be using their own standards. So I don't think they want that to happen, because it takes away from, that would be a distraction against this varsity, which is this trial, because it would highlight the hypocrisy of the left, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And then they don't want that to happen. And I think that, you know, ultimately, our chairwoman from the Republican National Committee, Ronna McDaniel, said it best in an op-ed that she wrote when she talked about, after 4 years telling the American people that we need to move on, it turns out the Democrats are the ones that can't let it go. They can't let him go. They need a boogeyman. They need somebody to raise money off of. They need somebody to cast blame to, rather than taking responsibility for themselves. Still, they're going to make it out to be his fault. And now they're trying to do everything that they can to continue to keep him in the news cycle, because when you do that, you don't talk about their shortcomings, the things that they're not doing, the things that they are not standing up against, like the violence in Antifa that we saw in D.C. this past weekend. And nobody from the White House or the Congress or the DNC or the mayor's office, Muriel Bowser, has denounced Antifa being antagonistic,
or the media,
patrons,
or the media, Paris. They're going on like this riot from January 6th. You know, they're treated like it started last May, and it's still going on to this day. It was a couple of hours. You know who I'd like to see called as a witness, if they called a witness? Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I think she's the one who's ultimately responsible for the security in the Capitol building. What did she know, and when did she know it? A reporter tried to ask her about that last week at the press conference, and she bit her head off.
They don't want to talk about the truth. Talk to those Capitol guards. Talk to the National Guards that are here. $500 million spent so far to have them protecting the U.S. Capitol when there is no credible threat against the Capitol. And it's still there because that's part of the political theater. The media wants to talk about the Capitol still being there, about the National Guard still being there to protect it from this this threat from Republicans. They have been trying to carve it out, because the more they can talk about Republicans, the more they can talk about Donald Trump, is less time that they're going to spend on holding their own selves accountable for the things that they have said and things that they are not doing right now to move forward, because they're in charge. They have all the power, House, Senate, and the White House.
Just barely, though. Just barely. But it's close enough that they can that they can run roughshod over everybody in the country. Let me play a cut from Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin about what the Democrats are trying. Sure. You just mentioned all the National Guard remaining there and just twiddling their thumbs, and they're not being called out against Antifa. Antifa ran amok on Saturday night, and there's no mention of it in the national media. Cut 46.
And it costed law enforcement.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be barricaded unless there is some real threats that I'm not aware of, that they're not telling us about. I think we ought to take that fencing down and return to as normal position as possible. I think the fencing is remaining in place to send a signal, a narrative that 74 million Americans that voted for President Trump are dangerous to our democracy. They're all insurrectionists, and that's simply not the case.
But yet Jake Tapper, a former employee of Chelsea Clinton's mother-in-law, a Democrat operative with a press pass, he's calling the Trump supporters terrorists. He wouldn't dare call the people who were menacing diners in D.C. on Saturday night terrorists, would he?
No, and you know what? President Trump campaigned on labeling Antifa and the KKK on a terrorist organization, and everyone thought that was a joke. But there's a reason why, because when you look at what Antifa is doing right now, it's terrorizing people. It's terrorizing neighborhoods and communities, especially communities of color, that we saw all last summer. And so as the Democrats, I believe they are continuing to have those fencing up, because it's part of the charade. It's called the PR campaign. It's like the metal detectors that you have in front of to get into the House floor, imposing fines on Republicans. So when Speaker Pelosi does the exact same thing, all of a sudden she's not going to be, they're trying not to hold her accountable. She doesn't want to talk about it. The American people are done with this hypocrisy. And I think this overreach by the Democrats is going to backfire, because Republicans are going to continue to fight for the American people, fight for the working class Americans and those over 74 million people who voted for President Trump, and the other millions who didn't. We're still going to work to make this country great for them again, because that's what you do, but with having the party of ideas and sound policy and good government. And they're going to keep doing these silly things that have nothing to do with actually helping Americans who need help and better government, good government, right, safe communities right now. And this is a distraction from the fact that your listeners know that the Biden administration now says that illegal immigrants who have DUIs and domestic violence is no longer a priority.
We're going to play that cut when we come back. I mean, it's amazing. And they said
it's distraction.
And you can't, I mean, and you can't, you can no longer warn them that they might be deported after they're turned down for a green card or a visa, because it would cause them undue stress. These are illegal aliens. And why were they turned down? Because they're in the country illegally. Sometimes they don't get the card because they've committed crimes. And you're not supposed to tell them that they've committed a crime and they might get deported. I mean, I think the American people are going to be much more affected by that than by this kangaroo court Star Chambers trial that's going to be going on this week in the U.S. Senate.
This foolishness that's happening, this impeachment charade, is going to show the American people the priorities of the Democrats in Congress. Are your priorities with me, the American citizen, or with me, the single mom who is struggling to make ends meet, me, the small business owner who still is on the brink of having their family business shut down for good? Or is your priority with a political witch hunt on somebody who's not even in power anymore? It's wasting time to get me economic relief. They're going to look at these things and say, while you do this, then you're going to impose new regulations and change laws that make insulin more expensive for me by canceling out everything that President Trump did, or making it better for easier for illegals to stay here. Why are the American people not the priority for the Democrats?
Yeah, and every minute you devote to this is a minute you don't devote to Richie Trumka, the head of the AFL-CIO, saying, what the hell's going on with the Keystone XL pipeline? They're screwing union members and they're reducing American energy independence. It's insanity what's going on. All right, Paris. I know what side you're on. I know you're on the same side as us. We appreciate you being with us, though. That's Paris Denard from the Republican National Committee talking about the Star Chamber proceedings that are getting underway tomorrow in the U.S. Senate. And play a little Exile on Main Street, Casino Boogie, Judge and Jury walk out hand in hand. Perfect song for the moment. In every relationship, there's a short list of forgivable offenses, but missing the romantic day of the year isn't one of them. Valentine's Day is almost here. It's Sunday, in case you're not paying attention. So you can't wait any longer. Head to 1-800-Flowers.com today. Right now, 1-800-Flowers has a last-minute offer for my listeners. Get 24 multicolored roses for $39.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. I got mine for the mailroom manager last week, and she was so happy, so happy. She didn't even want me to bring them in to show you on the air, but they were great. And if you get them for your significant other and get them sent to the office or wherever she works, that's the thing to do, because that way she can brag on how good her man treats her. All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. Order now and you can get 24 multicolored roses for $34.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. This is the best price you're going to get. The price just keeps going up the closer you get to Valentine's Day. So this is the best deal you're going to be able to get at this point. Bouquets are selling fast, so you have to take care of this today. Get right to the romance this Valentine's and find the way to wow with 1-800-Flowers.com. To order 24 multicolored roses for $34.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Click the radio icon and enter code Howie. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Howie. Hurry, offer expires Wednesday. I'm Howie Carr.
You might want to keep a close eye on your fried clams. Howie Carr returns after this.
Yum, yum, yum.
Hey, Howie.
Yes.
What do you think about getting Todd Lyons on for 6?
You can try, but I'm not sure he's in a tough spot. But go ahead. Yeah, try.
All right.
Okay, but we'll have that. How long is the cut?
Hold on, let me check. That's about a minute.
Okay, we'll play that. Okay, I'll set it up. Let me set it up.
Okay.
On the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
Hello, all the participants in tonight's event. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work. We will reclaim our credibility. The pandemic, we need all our strength to persevere. Rural versus urban. America built of decency. I took it to instill public confidence in the vaccine. President-elect Harris took hers today for the same reason. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency. All my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here. James Joyce was said to have told a friend, I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night, staring at the ceiling. Yes, yes, yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. Come on, give me a break, man.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
The Howie Carr Show.
Here it is. Casino Boogie. Again, I repeat, judge and jury walk out hand in hand. It's a great song for so many reasons, but now the lyrics are so timely, so timely. Breaking, Biden administration confirms illegal aliens convicted of assault, rape, DUI, and drug-related crimes will not be deported. Yeah, that's what great news. This is from the Washington Post, reporting an email that was sent out by the acting director of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Quote, generally, these convictions would not include drug-based crimes, in parentheses, less serious offenses. So everything will be plea bargained down to a quote unquote less serious offense. Simple assault, DUI, money laundering, property crimes, fraud, tax crimes, solicitation, or charges without convictions. So it'll just be, continued without a finding. No illegal alien will ever be convicted of anything. So this afternoon or this morning, Peter Doocy from Fox News asked Jen Psaki how it is in the interest of the American taxpayer and the electorate to or even the illegal aliens who are abiding by the law other than being here illegally. How is it in the interest of public safety of anyone in the country not to deport illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes and driving under the influence? Listen.
And on immigration, there's some new reporting that ICE is going to get some new guidance to no longer focus on deporting illegal immigrants who've been convicted of DUI, simple assault, solicitation, drug-based crimes, among other things. And I'm curious how that is in the interest of public safety.
Good question.
First, it's guidelines that would be put out by the Department of Homeland Security, and I'd certainly send you them. They have a confirmed secretary now, but the priority for the enforcement of immigration laws will be on those who are posing a national security threat, of course, a public safety threat, and on recent arrivals. Nobody is saying that DUIs or assault are acceptable behavior, and those arrested for such activity should be tried and sentenced as appropriate by local law enforcement. But we're talking about the prioritization of who is going to be deported from the country.
The prioritization, do you understand? If someone is on welfare, doesn't speak English, has no interest in getting a job, and is a criminal, that's a Democrat voter of the future, probably a Democrat voter of today. So we're not going to prioritize getting rid of them. We're going to prioritize people who come into the country legally and who want to work for a living and pay taxes and play by the rules. Those are the people that the Biden administration wants to eject from the United States of America because they're likely not to vote for Democrats who want to fundamentally transform the United States of America. So did you hear us say the priority is going to be on national security threats? But again, we're letting in people from all these countries where there is no security policies. We want to let them into the country too. The people that are seeking asylum, you see, like the Sarnievs. We need more Sarnievs. I'm Howie Carr. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again, and for as long as supplies last, you give me a coffee air purifier will come with a free copy of Kennedy Babylon, a $19.99 value. That's buy one Thunderstorm air purifier and get Kennedy Babylon for free. It's been months now, and people still ask me if it really works. Not only does it really work, but Thunderstorm works in hours. Our sales rep came down to Florida, and there was a funky smell at her Airbnb, but it was no match for the Thunderstorm. The Eden Pure air purifier is so small you can hold it in your hand, and it plugs right into the wall. That's why it's so easy to take the Thunderstorm with you on a trip. The best part is you don't have to replace any air filters. That saves you time and money. If you're like me, you're watching less and less TV these days, and there's no better way to pass the time than to curl up with my true crime book, Kennedy Babylon. The Eden Pure air purifier can handle pet, kitchen, tobacco, or that damp smell in your basement. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieBook. The book is free while supplies last, so grab yours today. Act now before they're gone. EdenPure.com, code word HowieBook. Shipping is free.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price. We shall pay any price. Bear any burden. Bear any burden. Accept any challenge and meet any hardship. Meet any hardship. To secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children. To assure the survival and the success of liberty. But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children.
The quality of our education.
The quality of their education.
The joy of their play.
For the joy of their play.
Come on, man. Thank you.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm a great gift giver. My problem, though, is that I always forget about Valentine's Day. Thankfully, the Howie Carr Show has great sponsors that have me covered this February 14th, and they can help you out, too. Flowers are a must, so I'm going to order a beautiful bouquet of roses through 1-800-Flowers. Just going to go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click microphone, enter code Howie, and take advantage of these discounts. Ooh, I can even double my order for even more savings. Oh, she'll love that. Let's see, what else? Ooh, I bought her some new earrings for Christmas. The Kathy Ireland Gem Spa is perfect for keeping those as stunning as they were in the display case. MyGemSpa.com and code word GRACE gets me 20% off. Nice. What else? Ooh, candles. I know Old New England Soap has those Woodwick soy candles to keep the house smelling fresh. OldNySoap.com. Oh, wow. They have a lot of candles and soaps to choose from. This is going to take some time. Oh, speaking of scents, she's been nagging me to get rid of that funky smell in the basement. Good thing the Thunderstorm Air Purifier is $10 off with code word Howie at EdenPure.com. That's it. All done. Thanks to our great sponsors for saving me time and money this Valentine's Day.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You watch the fight, you watch the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over. So everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
200 moms, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents who are no longer with us. I think it's up to 30,000 people have died. Over 600,000 dead, 600 plus thousand people.
60,000.
660. We're in the middle of a pandemic that had cost us more than 85,000 jobs, lives of millions of people. And now we have over 120 million dead from COVID. 200 million people have died. 205 million people, 1,000 people. 210,000 people have died. 4 million existing billion, 500,000. 50,000. A class of 25, you end up having two classes of 12, for example. But you know, in the 2020 census, which is now 2 censuses ago, the Oval back in May 2019, a $15 million, or $15,000, $15 minimum wage. I got to the Senate 180 years ago.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie. The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Bar has literally been left on the floor.
Yeah.
And just being able to show up and clear it
isn't enough. So it's great that we're having briefings every day, but we should be allowed to ask the questions even if it makes them uncomfortable.
So this is how, by the way, this is how rumors spread. This is how conspiracy theories get spun up by government not being straightforward and not getting information that it's aware of, that it has access to, and make that public right away. I'm for transparency, and right now there's very little transparency.
Don't sugarcoat it. Give it to me straight.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Valentine's Day, it should be a big restaurant day. And but we'll open 25% indoor dining in New York City Friday before Valentine's Day, so they'll have a big Valentine's Day.
Oh, what a lovely gesture.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. As long as we're reporting on some of the moves of the Biden administration that aren't making the headlines in national newscasts or newspapers, why don't we play the cut from Richard Trumka, the head of the AFL-CIO, about the Keystone XL pipeline disaster. And thousands of those jobs, incidentally, have been lost from the laborers union, which is what Marty Walsh is a member of, and he was the head of one of the locals around here. He's now going to be the Secretary of Labor in the Biden administration. Cut 47.
In his first hours as president, Joe Biden announced that he was going to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline.
I wish he hadn't done that on the first day, because the Laborers International was right. It did and will cost us jobs in the process.
I wish he hadn't done it on the first day. Would it have been better if he'd done it on the second day or the third day, or if he did it today? God. Ugh. The union, the labor movement. Labor is not to be confused with work. They are not synonyms in the modern American version of the English language. They're antonyms. Labor is the opposite of work. All right, time now for the chump line.
The liberal media was so disappointed that Tom Brady won the Super Bowl last night. You might say they were deflated.
Yes, they were. Very good way to put it.
Congratulations to Joe Biden, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Apparently 4 touchdowns and a field goal came in by mail at 4:30 this morning and were counted, giving them the victory.
Yeah, and then they got a lot closer when they decided to only count touchdowns as 2 points and field goals as 7 points. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week celebrating old guys like TB12, like Matthews Brothers, and even old guys like Howie. That's me. Tom's no longer a New Englander, but he's still a winner. Matthews Brothers is 167 years old, but we're still growing. And Howie has 26 years behind the mic, but his reach continues to expand. You can't keep a champion down.
Loving. Sporting fans like me enjoyed a fantastic Super Cup last night with a final score of Missouri Chiefs 9, Boston Buccaneers 31. Tom Bradley was once again awarded the MP3, making him the greatest quartermaster of all time.
And he had help from a flanker back by the name of, 844-500. He had several good flanker backs last night. 844-500-4242.
So Brady won another Super Bowl. It was enough to make everyone snore. It's a shame this once great game is being dominated by a dinosaur.
Well, if it really irritates them that much, they were so angry last night that they now want to get rid of the name Buccaneers, because Buccaneers are pirates, right? So I guess are the Pittsburgh Pirates now on the chopping block as well? That's the next name to go. The Buccaneers. I guess the Buccaneers there were too many white heterosexual males among the Buccaneers of yore.
Dr. Fauci, I'd love to stay and listen to what you have to say about masks, but I'm expecting another opinion from you any minute.
Right. I've said this before. Mark Twain used to say, if you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a couple of hours. Same thing with Dr. Fauci on the masks. What is the current status, Taylor? Are we still at 1 or you can wear 2? I think that's the latest, isn't it? That was Friday. But it's almost time.
It's 2, but it doesn't show that 2 does better than 1. And it's also the kids need to get back to school.
Oh, okay. But so now he agrees with Trump that the kids need to go back to school.
Now that Trump isn't there to kick around anymore. Yes. Right. It's like Trump can't get credit for, we can't announce there's a vaccine until Trump has lost the election. Okay, I get it. And so, and someone says, did you find it odd that Jill Biden did 90% of the talking last night with her PSA? No, I didn't. I found it pretty predictable, and I think you did too.
After a nationwide search, the Parker administration is proud to announce that Rod Blagojevich has been selected as the Undersecretary of Continental Grift.
We were talking about this Friday night, and I put it in my column on Sunday that we need some other undersecretaries. We can have an undersecretary of climate change, something nobody in Massachusetts can ultimately do anything about. Why don't we have an undersecretary of volcanoes, earthquakes? You talk about something that's really affected human development, sunspots. Why don't we have an assistant secretary, deputy secretary of sunspots? And of course, continental drift, or as he just pointed out, continental grift. That's something we're more familiar with in Massachusetts than continental drift.
Joe Biden congratulated Tom Brady on his 70th Super Bowl victory.
Yeah, he probably would if he had been put in front of the cameras today.
Can we start naming the polar vortexes just like we name the hurricanes? Maybe we could pick, like this is the Greta Thunberg polar vortex.
Or Al Gore would be another one, right? And the John Kerry, and John Kerry's friend James Taylor, he should have a vortex named after him. Hey, ain't it good to know you've got a polar vortex?
He's seen fire and he's seen rain.
That's even better. Lots of rain.
Putting Elizabeth Warren on the Senate Finance Committee would be like putting Hunter Biden on the board of directors of some Ukrainian petroleum. Oh, wait, we already know what happened that time.
She's working real hard to get the student loan debt canceled because she feels guilty, because she's responsible for so much of it, and certainly in Middlesex County, Massachusetts.
In my hand, I hold the last envelope. Well, I think this one might be related to the Super Bowl. Kansas. Name Howie Carr's favorite thing to collect and what Charlie Baker is. Kansas. Hey-o!
Not as good as the ones last week, but keep them coming. I miss Karnak the Magnificent. Joe Concha had an interesting column today about how the late night talk show hosts are even more adrift comically than they have been in the past because they don't have Trump. Trump was the only thing they had to kick around. Now they don't dare say anything about Joe Biden or the Democrats lest they get shunned and canceled and destroyed. And did you know, on an average night back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, Johnny Carson had 9 million viewers. His last week, he averaged 19 million viewers. All of the talk show hosts together don't come near 9 million. I doubt they come up to 2/3. I doubt they come to 6 million. All of them together. And Johnny Carson got 9 million a night. And most of the time, a lot of the time, he was going up against other people like Dick Cavett, Merv Griffin.
Hey, you want to have the best halftime show ever? Have a Trump rally.
Yeah. First, I knew all the acts that were on the Super Bowl halftime show. Then I hadn't really cared about them or hadn't really heard them perform, but I'd read about them. Now it's gotten to the point where I never even have heard or read about them, like Weekend with no second E.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
That's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message any hour between 1 and 4 p.m. Eastern. Dial 1-844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday, or we might put it, if it doesn't make the cut right now, we can put it in Chopped Chumps, which we post every evening around 7 p.m. Get Chopped Chumps wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcasts. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week celebrating old guys like TB12. That would be Tom Brady, in case you're not paying attention. Like Matthews Brothers, and even old guys like Howie. That would be me, in case you're really not paying attention. Tom's no longer a New Englander, but he's still a winner. Matthews Brothers is 167 years old, but we're still growing. And Howie has 26 years behind the mic, but his reach continues to expand. You just can't keep a champion down.
Loving. Sporting fans like me enjoyed a fantastic Super Cup last night with a final score of Missouri Chiefs 9, Boston Buccaneers 31. Tom Bradley was once again awarded the MP3, making him the greatest quartermaster of all time.
And maybe next he'll play for the New York Football Titans, where Jolton Joe Namath used to play for.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. Hit refresh on your dinner routine with Hellofresh. Right now, you could take advantage of a new limited time offer and see why Hellofresh is America's #1 meal kit. Hellofresh gives you simple recipes and fresh ingredients sourced directly from growers and delivered to your door contact-free. Last night we had mozzarella burgers. Oh boy, was that good. So good. Good Super Bowl fare. I'm not a chicken wings person. I like burger meat. And it was just great. Everything that HelloFresh does, even if you think you know what you're getting with, say, chicken breasts or burgers, HelloFresh makes them special and makes them different. With more than 23 weekly recipes, there's something for everyone to enjoy, including family-friendly, vegetarian, and low-calorie options. Go all out for Valentine's Day with gourmet or globally inspired recipes to cook as a couple, or dig into the latest craft burger with the fan. That's what we did last night. Say goodbye to never-ending meal planning and prepping and getting the same old every week at the supermarket. Say hello to new 10 to 20 meals, low prep, not no prep, but low prep recipes, quick breakfasts and lunches. HelloFresh recipe cards are easy to follow with simple steps and pictures so you can get meals on the table in under 30 minutes. Plus, by skipping the grocery store, you can save up to 40% on groceries, cut food waste by 25%, and stop overbuying. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping, for a limited time only. Just go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie10 for 10 free meals. You will be very pleased. HelloFresh.com. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
We are now, effective today, requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms. A few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Stay at home as much as possible. Put those social gatherings on hold, including extra care
for Thanksgiving.
Denver's mayor told you to stay home for Thanksgiving. Then he got on a flight to go see family out of state.
Some
people calling Supervisor Kuehl a hypocrite. Now, on November 24th, she voted to ban outdoor dining. And on the very same day, she was spotted eating out.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of the
Well, I lost my favorite pair at the Breakers.
As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. This salon owes me an apology. What they do.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying. Hitler was a Christian.
Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us. I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you. It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman. You have tanning lotion on, A little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
Oh, no.
This is the second time that you've laid hands on me. When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
Howie Carr is back.
Pusher Man. This is Hunter Biden's favorite Curtis Mayfield tune from Superfly. For all your last-minute Valentine's Day needs, head to 1-800-FLOWERS. Right now, get 24 multicolored roses for $34.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be watching any live coverage of the impeachment trial?
No. N-O.
90% say no.
All right. 844-500-4242. I heard about this Time Magazine story or issue last week, but I didn't read it because I thought it would just depress me, and I already kind of knew the outlines. But it's amazing that they would admit this. And, you know, Time Magazine used to be a proud periodical. It's now just crap. Even no self-respecting dentist even has it in his waiting room anymore. But it's still out there, I guess. And the Democrats, the deep state, decided to put out their version of what happened in the election. And this is from Monica Showalter in American Thinker, which is a good summation of it. And that's all I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I couldn't do it. If any of us had declared that a cabal of elites composed of big corporate, big labor, big tech, big green, and Black Lives Matter had conspired together to rig the 2020 election, we'd have been called nuts. We'd be tinfoil hatters, far-right loonies, and denizens of the dreaded QAnon. But surprise, surprise, the cabal has now come out of the closet in a shocking piece that ran in what used to be Time magazine titled "The Secret Bipartisan History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election." It saved it from us, the American electorate, by Democrat with byline Molly Ball. And this is the beginning of it. This is the inside story of the conspiracy, her word, conspiracy. Is she going to be banned from Twitter and Facebook and YouTube? Of the conspiracy to save the 2020 election based on access to the group's inner workings. Inner workings. It does sound like an international conspiracy. It sounds like a racketeering influenced organization, RICO. A never before seen documents and interviews with dozens of those involved from across the political spectrum. Across the political spectrum, that means it reached across the political spectrum from A to B. B being the never Trumpers. It is the story of an unprecedented, creative, and determined campaign whose success also reveals how close the nation came to disaster. Having a duly elected president of the United States, that's disaster in their opinion. Listen to this, every attempt to interfere with the proper outcome of the election was defeated. This is a quote. The proper outcome of the election was defeated, says Ian Bassin, co-founder of Protect Democracy. And again, when they say words like protect democracy, that means reject democracy. It's the opposite of what they really mean. It's 1984. It's Orwellian. And it's a nonpartisan. That means it's definitely partisan. Rule of law, that means rule of no law, advocacy group. Well, it is an advocacy group. They advocate no democracy. But it's, quote, massively important for the country to understand that it didn't happen accidentally. Oh, I think we all knew that. The system didn't work magically. Democracy is not self-executing. Someone has to execute democracy. And they gave it two in the hat. That's why the participants, this is the Democrats' own words. That's why the participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream. We'll get back to this in a moment, and we'll take your calls at 844-500-4242. The secret bipartisan history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. I'm Howie Carr.
The Kathy Ireland Gems Ball was one of the hottest selling gifts this holiday season. This Valentine's Day, give a gift that will provide a lifetime of sparkling clean jewelry. I use mine every week and my jewelry looks amazing. I had no idea how dirty my jewelry was until I started cleaning it with the Gem Spa. I bought one for my mom and for my aunts. Join the clean jewelry revolution. Get yours now. Go to mygemspa.com, use promo code GRACE and save 20%. That's mygemspa.com, promo code GRACE and save 20%.
The Subaru of New England, Washington's birthday sales event lasts all month long. Feel the freedom in a brand new all-wheel drive 2021 Subaru Crosstrek with standard EyeSight driver assist technology, starting at $22,245 with 0.9% financing for up to 48 months. Or lease for only $229 per month for 36 months with $24.29 due at signing. Details at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm a great gift giver. My problem, though, is that I always forget about Valentine's Day. Thankfully, the Howie Carr Show has great sponsors that have me covered this February 14th, and they can help you out, too. Flowers are a must, so I'm going to order a beautiful bouquet of roses through 1-800-Flowers. Just going to go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click microphone, enter code Howie, and take advantage of these discounts. Ooh, I can even double my order for even more savings, so she'll love that. Let's see, what else? Ooh, I bought her some new earrings for Christmas. The Kathy Ireland Gem Spa is perfect for keeping those as stunning as they were in the display case. MyGemSpa.com, and code word GRACE gets me 20% off. Nice. What else? Ooh, candles. I know Old New England Soap has those Woodwick soy candles to keep the house smelling fresh. OldAnySoap.com. Oh, wow, they have a lot of candles and soaps to choose from. This is going to take some time. Oh, speaking of scents, she's been nagging me to get rid of that funky smell in the basement. Good thing the Thunderstorm Air Purifier is $10 off with code word Howie at EdenPure.com. That's it. All done. Thanks to our great sponsors for saving me time and money this Valentine's Day.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
200 moms, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents who are no longer with us.
I think it's up to 30,000 people have died.
Over 600,000 dead, 600 plus thousand people.
60,000.
60. We're in the middle of a pandemic that had cost us more than 85,000 jobs, lives of millions of people. Now we have over 120 million dead from COVID. 200 million people have died. 205 million people, 1,000 people. 210,000 people have died. 4 million existing billion, 500,000. 50,000. A class of 25, you end up having 2 classes of 12, for example. But you know, in the 2020 census, which is now 2 censuses ago, the Oval back in May 9, 2019, a $15 million, $15,000, $15 minimum wage. I got to the Senate 180 years ago.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I can't tell you how many times in the past couple of months, somebody I know has told me a story.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panicked porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
Somebody I know has told me a story about how they got it, and it all goes back every single time to some informal gathering where nobody wore
I just sent
masks,
you something to print.
nobody kept
You don't
their
have to print it on me.
And the virus spread.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow the science world. But it's the only world they know.
I mean, it's pretty common at this point that that's where a big piece of this is coming from.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Okay, back to the story. We're going to take some calls, but I just want to read you a couple more paragraphs. That's why the participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told. The secret history. That reminds me of the Procopius, the Byzantine historian, but the corruption when Justinian was the emperor. The secret history. So now we're getting this. Now we're getting the secret history of an equally corrupt society, the American society. The secret history of the 2020 election told, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream, a well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across industries and ideologies, working together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, steer media coverage, and control the flow of information. It sounds like reality to me. We see it every day now with the cancelings and the shunnings. They were not rigging the election. They were fortifying it. They were fortifying it. Like fortified wine. And they believe the public needs to understand the system's fragility in order to ensure that democracy in America endures. They just killed they're admitting they killed democracy, but they're saying that they had to kill it to save it. It's like the anonymous apocryphal officer in Vietnam. We had to destroy the village in order to save it. They had to destroy democracy in order to save it. So then it continues. This is after the election. To the president, something felt amiss. It was all very, very strange, Trump said on December 2nd. Within days after the election, we witnessed an orchestrated effort to anoint the winner, even while many key states were still being counted, unquote. In a way, Time magazine admits, Trump was right. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and AFL-CIO published on Election Day. So the head of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce just retired, Mr. Donahue. And the head of the AFL-CIO just said that Joe Biden shouldn't have killed the Keystone XL pipeline. Both sides would come to see it as some sort of as a sort of implicit bargain, as opposed to explicit, meaning they announced it. It was a unspoken bargain, an under-the-table bargain, inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests. Oh, so now we're admitting that they were destructive protests, in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace, and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. His assault, says who? And, Monica Showalter repeats some of these quotes. There was a conspiracy, not rigging, but fortifying. Change the rules. Did a campaign against misinformation, did that mean suppressing the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop? Every attempt to interfere with the proper outcome. I think proper outcome is even more damning a phrase than fortifying, was defeated. That is some creepy ass gloating from leftists, says Monica Showalter, who have obviously won and would like us all to know. They saved democracy from the demos, meaning the people, but they claim they saved us from President Trump. Being big-hearted and all, I guess they saved us from ourselves. And I like the bipartisan help from the right, she says, meaning the same old never Trumps who have been hating on Trump since the escalators. Another way to frame the question is, why aren't Dems secure in their victory? The obvious answer, given their prohibition on questions, is they know that we know that they didn't actually win. And that's why we're trying to keep up this new tactic of, here, we'll tell you the secret truth that makes everything okay for us. We was protecting the country to get the proper outcome. 844-500-4242. Anthony, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Anthony.
Howie, this is just unbelievable. This is basically a who's who and a play-by-play of Joe Biden's admission that he organized the most extensive voter fraud in history.
You know what? That's a good point, Anthony. I wonder if this story quotes him. And they put that in the fact-checking organizations, quote unquote. They say that statement has been debunked. Even though he said it, it's been debunked because
we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Well, I guess, Anthony, it's now been undebunked, hasn't it, by Time magazine?
Absolutely, Howie. I don't understand how anybody can say that there was nothing that went on in this election unless you're a moonbat.
No, you're right. And someone just pointed, 917 says the irony is that Lou Dobbs, who was fired on Friday night by Fox News, even though he had the highest rated show on Fox Business Channel, he used to mention this Chamber of Commerce fraud, Donahue, on his show every night. And now he's fired, and Donahue is riding off into the sunset with his saddlebags full of 24-karat gold, I'm sure. It's just, God, 844-500-4242, the secret history Again, I didn't realize that phrase. That's the title of Procopius's famous book about the corruption in the Byzantine Empire. When they made it seem like everything was great, but everything was pay to play, everything was for sale. They were destroying people. They were canceling people in those days if you didn't play ball with the emperor Justinian and his wife. Theodosia, I think was her name. She was a former prostitute in the Hippodrome. No comparisons to anyone in the administration who has been accused of selling her sexual favors. However, we can't have any of that. Jim, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jim.
Howie, how you doing?
Good.
I was riding around doing errands today, and I thought, now that you mentioned that people are forgetting short and long-term memory, you mentioned two individuals, Richard Trumka and Colin Kaepernick. And I couldn't help but remember that if Kaepernick had at least some sense or some education, he would have remembered two other people that were interesting labor and management fighters, and that would have been Marvin Miller and Kurt Flood. And Kaepernick, if he had any brains, would have seen what had happened to Flood in his career, but he took a year off in 1970.
There was a guy, Kurt Flood. He was the outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, and they wouldn't trade him or give him a pay raise. And he just sat it out. I mean, there was a guy who actually risked something and could have lost his entire career. Whereas Colin Kaepernick has made more money and hasn't had to put his body on the line and get a concussion and maybe end up with that kind of dementia that fighters get, like some football players get. And he's just become a multi-millionaire by being a fraudulent social justice warrior. That's a good point. I've forgotten about Kurt Flood, but I guess he died last year, right? I think he did. He was one of the guys in the Hall of Fame who died last year. 844-500-4242. That Monica Showalter continues. There's a reason for doing this. They know we know. So now they're into psyops, trying to demoralize us in their open gloating. As the Ace of Spades noted, this is the part of the war where they have shot most of the survivors and are now engaging in psyops to humiliate and degrade whoever remains alive. They are now admitting they rigged the election so that we understand that there is nothing we can do about it. We are a defeated people, they want us to know, and they intend to rule us. This is a nasty picture, says Monica Showalter, but probably true. Someone is burbling with delight in leftist circles, delighted that the U.S. has been rigged into electing the most far-right administration ever and gotten away with it. And like all far-left regimes, think Venezuela, it can't be reversed. It's permanently rigged now, and we will just have to prepare for decline and learn to live with it. Bad as it sounds, it's good news, too. It's intelligence. It's someone opening their secret files, like what WikiLeaks used to do to John Podesta to give us their battle plans. Yes, they gloat, but as they march in their victory parade, they seem to forget the lesson of the ancient Romans. To always have a victorious general parading around, it is triumph. They would have a triumph for the general who comes back from the wars with a big victory. The general would be parading around the triumph with a slave at his side, whispering into his ear, "You are mortal. You are mortal." That's a good point. That's a good column. Hey, we should probably tweet that one out, Taylor, so people don't have to read that whole gloating story from Time magazine. It's by Monica Showalter at the American Thinker. Elites brazenly gloat they rigged election, and that's good news for us. We'll take some more calls when we come back. 844-500-4242. Great news. The Gen 40 heater is back and just in time for the really cold temperatures. Oil prices are going to go up. The Keystone XL pipeline has been stopped. 35 million gallons of oil a day are now going to go to China. Now there is a new moratorium on fracking on federal land. That means the price of natural gas is going to go through the roof, just like gasoline already has. It was 10 degrees in parts of New England over the past week. There was lots and lots of snow. You need to, and it's going to get it's going to stay just as bad this week. You need to start planning, and that means you need the Gen 40 heater. Robert from the Cape says the Gen 40 performs like no other heater I've ever had. It is remarkable. Taylor can tell you the same thing. He has mine down in his house in New Bedford.
That's right. And little did I know, Howie, I spent the weekend with my parents in Connecticut, and my father was talking to me about the Gen 40 heater, and he said, I've been using the Eden Pure heater products for years. I said, really? And I thought back, he has. We've had Eden Pure in our family for a couple of generations now. So my whole family loves it, going back over a decade.
Yeah, and this is the newest model that they have, and it's really nice, and you can see it's kind of fashionable looking. It's not going to it's not going to make your room look any less good. It's going to make it warmer. That's the important thing. It makes you feel warmer than your furnace, and it also costs less to run. You may be working from home more now, and you will need to pay closer attention to the heating bills. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie Deal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word Howie Deal for an extra $50 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com. I'm Howie Carr.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by J.T. Kelly, real estate broker at Keller Williams, who helped my daughter find a house. The 2021 housing market is already on fire. Contact him at
1-800-364-9200.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
There's a group of about 10 people outside of work that represent the entire universe of the community that I've spent time with and my wife has spent time with since March.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
We spent time with about 10 people, period. We have a lot of friends we have not seen for months, and we don't know when we will see them. There are lots of people we haven't seen in like forever.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
Those are the rules in this game that we all need to play by.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
My wife and my circle of friends has gotten very small.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player, and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
Say what you will about him.
He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English. He doesn't even speak good English.
He's Howie Carr, and he's here to stay.
844-500-4242. Bruce from the Mets says, informs me, Flood died in 97. I was thinking of Lou Brock. Lou Brock was another player for the Cardinals back in the 60s who was in the Hall of Fame, who just he died last year. 508 says Kurt Flood had the courage of his convictions like Ali. Yeah, and he didn't have a ton of money because the players weren't making huge amounts of money like they are now. So when he sat out a year, I mean, could have been the end for him. He could end up at working at a gas station or somewhere, if he hadn't prevailed. 844-500-4242. Steve from Cambridge, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Howie, I think it's great this Time article appeared because what I'm hoping, contrary to what the writer of the American Thinker said, is that these people are becoming so brazen and their hubris is getting so large, particularly with the Senate impeachment trial, that they may, God willing, take a big fall.
Yeah, I don't see what the upside is for him. Seriously, I just don't. I don't see that they're going to gain anything from it. The people that hate Trump already they can't hate him anymore. And that's a universe that's finite at this point. They're just going to piss people off, and I hope that's the way it plays out anyway. 844-500-4242. Steve from Springfield, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, double Steve's, double trouble, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
That New York Times article is amazing.
Time Magazine.
Conspiracy.
Time Magazine. But I know it is. It really is. And it's very depressing. But I mean, they're just laying it out that they conspired to obtain the proper outcome. The proper outcome. It sounds like something out of a dictatorship, a third world dictatorship, doesn't it? Because that's what it is.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm watching an episode of Columbo where they think that Columbo is stupid and he's going to drop the ball on them like really bad at some point.
The difference being, of course, that we all know how the episode of Columbo is going to turn out. We're not sure how this episode is going to turn out, are we?
No, but I think they're too stupid to be dictators. If they're trying to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
I know, but they're not exactly facing the murderer's row of politics, if you know what I mean. The Republican Party, no. Steve. That's the downside. You're right. I mean, obviously, if Biden and Kamala Harris are your front people, or your front men, you're not dealing here with the greatest talent in political history. But again, look who they're going up against: Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy. Yikes! Thanks for the call, Steve. Joseph, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Joseph.
Hi, Howie. Thank you for taking my call. Howie, I have two questions. I'd like to know if you can help. This is really getting out of hand. I cannot wear a mask like your producer, Nancy, can't. Your former producer, Sandy. Okay, my doctor wrote a letter. The hospital has a letter. When I went to see a cardiologist, they wouldn't listen. They wanted me to sit outside between the doors in the cold. So they spoke to me over the phone. We need to get lawyers, and I know there's a lady, if you may have her on. I forgot her name. She does a Healthy American, Peggy Hall. She has lawyers and forms. Can you help with this, because this is terrible?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Joseph. I mean, I thought in the early stages here, they said if you have a medical condition, just get a letter from your doctor, and you just produce the letter, and it'll be okay. And I don't even think the law requires you to have a letter. I mean, HIPAA is the law that keeps your medical records secret. You don't have to publicly release your conditions. There shouldn't be this kind of problem. And I don't wear a mask. My building requires masks in Florida, and I have incipient emphysema, quote unquote. I mean, it was a diagnosed condition. I don't smoke anymore, so it's not getting any worse. But I'm not wearing a mask. I don't know why anybody has to wear a mask anyway. I mean, Trump's been defeated. I mean, that was part of the proper outcome, was having everyone wear masks, get the press, get fired, except for, of course, the political hacks. They all got to keep collecting their paychecks, and it should be over now. But they're gonna push it because the virus, if the virus will definitely come back for the 2024 campaign, maybe even for the midterms. 844-500-4242 512. They hate us, Howie. That's the scary part. Yeah, they do. It's not like the old days when you basically had Democrats and Republicans who could play golf together after a hard day at the Capitol, that could have a drink together. You can't do that anymore. They accused us of wanting to put them out of business, but the reality was they want to put us out of business. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. Between the news, appointment TV, and endless scrolling on our phones, we're looking at screens more than ever. But how do you rest your eyes without feeling totally unplugged? By putting in a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds and listening to something great. Whether you're listening to your favorite podcast, binging an audiobook, or working out to a pumped-up playlist, Raycons are built to perform anywhere and anytime with water and sweat-resistant construction and seamless Bluetooth pairing. There are no dangling wires or white stems to worry about. Raycons offer a comfortable in-ear fit for a more discreet look in a variety of colorways for maximum style. And with 6 hours of playtime, you can unplug for a while. The best part? Raycon wireless earbuds start at half the price of the other premium audio brands. So you can pick up a pair and a spare. Right now, get 15% off Raycons at buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buy, Raycon.com/Howie for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glennis the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent?
It's not because they didn't work as hard.
Or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment. Of course not.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
Come on, man.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists. Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry white guys. Angry white man.
Angry white old men. These angry white men. The angry white vote.
All these angry white people.
Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist. Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's insult.
They tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist. The credulous boomer rube demo. Y'all elitists are
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling. Even though my
your math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading.
They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at in the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
What deal can we have, Crazy Nancy?
The Constitution does not say that a person can shout wolf in a crowded theater.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. Chocolate, candy, chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. Consistently practice social distancing.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
That was kind of sharp.
I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, I had a hard time getting my ears pierced. I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, Mother Earth is angry. She's telling us.
What do you think is causing this erratic behavior?
I think that the president has always had erratic behavior. I have ice cream in my freezer. I guess that's better than having Lysol in somebody's lungs.
Civilization as we know it is at stake.
I don't drink, but I'm happy to have ice cream with anybody anytime.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm a great gift giver. My problem, though, is that I always forget about Valentine's Day. Thankfully, the Howie Carr Show has great sponsors that have me covered this February 14th, and they can help you out, too. Flowers are a must, so I'm going to order a beautiful bouquet of roses through 1-800-Flowers. Just going to go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click microphone, enter code Howie, and take advantage of these.
Hey, Howie.
Yes.
Are you still at Bradley Place?
Excuse me?
Is your building at Bradley Place?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to have some.
Code word Howie at EdenPure.com. That's it. All done. Thanks to our great sponsors for saving me time and money this Valentine's Day.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can also see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Bar has literally been left on the floor.
Yeah.
And just being able to show up and clear it isn't enough. So it's great that we're having briefings every day, but we should be allowed to ask the questions even if it makes them uncomfortable.
So this is how, by the way, this is how rumors spread. This is how conspiracy theories get spun up by government not being straightforward and not getting information that it's aware of, that it has access to, and make that public right away. I'm for transparency, and right now there's very little transparency.
Don't sugarcoat it. Give it to me straight.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Valentine's Day, it should be a big restaurant day. And but we'll open 25% indoor dining in New York City Friday before Valentine's Day, so they'll have a big Valentine's Day.
Oh, what a lovely gesture.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. We've been telling you about this guy, a drifter from I don't know where he's, parts unknown. He most recently lived in California. Before that, he was in Virginia. His name is David Ismay. He's a Rhodes Scholar, and he worked for a while as a lawyer, and that didn't work out. So he came to Boston, and now he's got a job as a coat holder for Governor Charlie Parker. He makes $130,000 a year as the Undersecretary of Climate Change. Wow, that's a big job, huh? Handling the climate change in Massachusetts. And we played you the cut last week of him talking about the need to break the will. We should probably play that cut again before we play the new cuts. We got some new cuts here tonight of David Ismay, the guy who he wants to break the will of the senior citizens and the people next door. And the way they're going to break the will is they're going to pass this transportation climate initiative. Charlie Parker, who ran for governor trying to stop gas tax increases, now wants to jack up the price on every gallon of gasoline, 38 cents per gallon. On top,
one thing that we found through our analysis is that 60% of our emissions come from, as I have been starting to say, you and me, except you guys are in Vermont. 60% of our emissions come from residential heating and passenger vehicles. So let me say that again. 60% of our emissions that need to be reduced come from you, the person across the street, the senior on fixed income, right? There is no bad guy left, at least in Massachusetts, to point the finger at, turn the screws on, and break their will so they stop emitting. That's you. We have to break your will, right? I can't even say that publicly. What I'm trying to say is,
we have to break your will. This guy's a hack. He's paid $130,000 a year, and he wants to break the will of senior citizens. Turns out, a friend of mine read this column on Sunday, and he went on to, he has good access to records across the country. This guy wants your grandparents to take a bus rather than drive to their doctor's appointments or to get their groceries. He doesn't want them to be able to heat their homes at a comfortable level. You know what this guy has or had? The FAA, the Federal Aviation Commission, what do they issue? Pilot's licenses. This guy has a pilot's license, and he's worried about your and my carbon emissions. How about what does speeding in an automobile do to carbon emissions? Does it increase or does it decrease carbon emissions? No, let me read you something from Earth Easy. That's a crunchy granola website. Increasing your highway cruising speed from 55 to 75 miles an hour can raise fuel consumption as much as 20%. Ishmael was stopped by the police in Virginia in the Accomack General District in 2000 for doing 74 in a 55. But now he wants to break your will to drive. He wants to turn the screws on you, even though he's a scofflaw. July 3rd, 2001, he was lugged in Virginia Beach. He was doing 60 in a 45. March 2nd, 2001, bagged again in Virginia Beach, 59 in a 45. And he wants you to stop driving your car while he drives his car and his airplane. He's a pilot. But he thinks you should turn your heat down to 50 degrees and freeze. And he lives in a mansion in Chestnut Hill. He's a Rhodes Scholar. A Rhodes Scholar. By the way, he also was lugged in 2012 in Hampton District Court in Virginia. You know what? He had an expired rejection sticker. So he had a rejection sticker, apparently from his inspection. I tried to get him on the show tonight to discuss this, because I'm very concerned about what's going to happen to the Plymouth red-bellied turtle and the piping plover and the snail darter, with the guy like this running around. He's increasing carbon emissions. He's killing polar bears is what he's doing, driving like a madman and having a plane. How dare he have he's the Undersecretary of Climate Change and he's a licensed pilot? How does that work out? So anyway, today the Herald found some more cuts of this guy. And the first guy, this is how much he knows about the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Remember Robert B. Reich? A few years back, he was running for governor. We had brought him on the show, and I said, by the way, Robert, what's the westernmost county in Massachusetts? He had no idea. Like Elizabeth Warren's the same way. She thinks there's a west coast of Massachusetts. She's talked about that. So this guy, it's the same thing with this guy. He's a drifter from California, comes in and presumes to tell us what to do. Cut 40.
Eastern Massachusetts, and a lot of maybe the most challenging, both a lot of the least challenging buildings, if you talk about newer residential, are in Eastern Boston.
They're in Eastern Boston. You familiar with Eastern Boston? You can do the dog paddle there if you want. You better wait till it gets a little warmer, though, Eastern Boston. That's also known as the Atlantic Ocean. He's worried about the buildings in Eastern Boston. That's why he's a Rhodes Scholar, don't you know? But here's the thing. He doesn't like three-deckers. He lives in a mansion in Chestnut Hill. But he's really down on those dirty, rotten, energy-inefficient three-deckers in places like Eastern Boston and Cambridge. Cut 41.
We are getting to the regulatory posture, which I'm saying it's going in that direction. I'm not threatening or we're still working on it. We're just doing the analysis, but you can look ahead and you can see that in a few years, at least, there's going to have to be something in place.
I'm not threatening. Let's hear that one again.
We are getting to the regulatory posture, which I'm saying it's going in that direction. I'm not threatening or
I'm not threatening.
We're still working on it. We're just doing the analysis, but you can look ahead and you can see that in a few years, at least, there's going to have to be something in place.
Here's a rule of thumb. When someone says he's not threatening you, he's threatening you. Okay. And this is a guy, he's so sure of himself and how right he is. It doesn't, even though he flies a plane and speeds and doesn't bother to get an inspection sticker, he feels confident in his own self-righteousness that he can deprive you of a comfortable environment in your home or stop you from driving your car. And he wants to get rid of 3-deckers or retrofit them. So if you how much do you think it costs to retrofit a 3-decker? Especially with people fleeing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. 917. Ever notice how folksy these guys always try to sound? They think their adorableness will distract us from the knife in our backs. Yeah. 207. Remember when Rhodes Scholar used to mean something? Neither do I. No. I mean, this guy is just, failed upwards from one job to, he's never really accomplished any. He's like 50, almost 50 years old. What has he ever done? And now he's running around talking about these places that don't exist, like Eastern Boston, like he's an expert. I listened to part of this speech. It's on YouTube. Did you listen to any of it, Taylor?
Only that minute he was on.
Yeah. Oh, is it intolerable? There are all these guys, and they're all pretending like they know something. There are all these climate grifters. If it wasn't for this, I don't know what they'd be doing. They'd probably be, be in charge of paper clips at some town hall somewhere. I mean, they couldn't. There's no way they could ever be working at Starbucks because they'd screw up the orders. But they all got these words that they use, like, well, I'm gonna unpack this new information. They're always unpacking. We're gonna try to leverage the subsidies. It's all BS. These are the people that George Wallace used to say can't park a bicycle straight, and they're going to get rid of all the 3-deckers in Eastern Boston. God, 844-500-4242. 617, they will make it impossible for the working and middle classes to pass on any wealth to their children. Regulations will mean you are lucky to break even selling the family house. Let me tell you, someone who owns a 3-decker in Eastern Boston has accomplished a lot more and got a lot more skin in the game than these climate drifters like Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. That's the first line of Moby Dick. Call me Ishmael. I'm a climate grifter. Want to see my pilot's license from the FAA? Maybe he can learn to code, says 508. I think he should become a solar panel electrician. So a solar panel technician, as John Kerry says. He doesn't even know what they are. We're all looking for ways to save money, right? Especially now. So let me ask you this. How'd you like to keep an extra $961 a year in your pocket? That's how much Gabby customers save per year on average on car and home insurance. That's why when I was shopping for insurance, I used Gabby. This is the time of year we go shopping for insurance. Well, Gabby takes the pain out of shopping for insurance by giving you an apples-to-apples comparison of your current coverage with 40 of the top insurance providers, including Progressive, Nationwide, and Travelers. Just link your current insurance account, and in just minutes, you'll be able to see quotes for the exact same coverage you currently have. I'm not that good on computers, as you know, but I found it was very easy and very fast to set up my comparison with Gabby. I was with my old insurance company, car insurance, for more than 20 years. The company went from hands to different companies to different locations, and I never checked up on anything. I never checked out the new innovations in insurance and the discounts that were available. I really screwed up by not doing so, but I finally caught up with Gabby. I mentioned I logged in with my current insurance provider and with Gabby, and they showed me more than a dozen different quotes. And in the end, I saved more than $500 on my current automobile insurance. As I mentioned earlier, Gabby customers save even more on average, $961 actually on average. I bet that would be nice to have in your pocket every year. If they can't find you savings like they did for me, they'll let you know so you can relax knowing you have the best rate out there. and they'll never sell your info, so there's no annoying spam or robocalls. You're probably overpaying on car and home insurance. See how much Gabby can save you. It's totally free to check, and there's no obligation. Go to Gabi.com/Howie. That's GABI.com/Howie. Gabby, GABI.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
Watch out, Joe Biden. You might have to share some of the spotlight because your running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, is certainly grabbing some attention for her own gaffes.
She was part of our culture. Yes, we wear those notorious B.I.G. t-shirts with a lot of pride.
Best rapper alive, Tupac. He's not alive. You say he lives on.
Not alive. I know. I keep doing that. A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. The Biden-Harris administration. We have got to, in America, reimagine how we are accomplishing public safety. And let's be clear, there is no vaccine for racism.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us. I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
We are now effective today requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms. A few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Stay at home as much as possible. Put those social gatherings on hold, including extra care for Thanksgiving.
Denver's mayor told you to stay home for Thanksgiving, then he got on a flight to go see family out of state.
Some people calling Supervisor Kuehl a hypocrite. Now, on November 24th, she voted to ban outdoor dining, and on the very same day, she was spotted eating out.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. This salon owes me an apology. What they do.
You regret it to his dying day, if ever he lives that long.
Howie Carr is back.
For all of your last-minute Valentine's Day needs, head to 1-800-Flowers. Right now, get 24 multicolored roses for just $34.99, or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers.com. Click the radio icon and enter code Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be watching any live coverage of the impeachment trial?
No, but I've got the president's lawyer's memo that I'll be reading in a while. We'll take some calls, though, on this climate grifter that's in the administration who thinks there's a place. He can solve the climate problems in the world.
Only 10% say yes, they'll be watching live.
Only 10%. Okay. I want to get back to, he can solve the climate problems in the world, but he doesn't know that there is not an Eastern Boston. Do you have confidence in this guy? And he's not threatening you, but you better get that triple decker refitted. refitted. Someone says, "What's wrong with 3-deckers? I thought they were a good use of space because they packed everybody in on, three. You get 3 families in like the space of a small postage stamp sized lot." But it's different now. They need a different scam to go on. 917, and yet they always imply that if we don't do it voluntarily, they'll have to force us. Yet we're the fascists. Yeah, I know. That's why I've been saying these are fascistic musings. He wants to break the will. That's something like, I don't even think Mussolini would say something like that. Probably Hitler would say it privately. This guy said it publicly. He wants to break the will of people. He wants to turn the screws on people, not on criminals, you understand, or drug dealers or murderers, organized crime. He wants to turn the screw on senior citizens and the people next door. Nice, huh? But he's better than you because he's a Rhodes Scholar. Johnny, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Johnny.
Just listening to this, Howie. It's like, he wants to break the will. It's so what Lenny Riefenstahl made the movie, Triumph of the Will. So he's on the right track.
Yes, that's a good point, Johnny. Triumph of the Will. She was a dear friend of Adolf Hitler. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Howie. Someone's going to tell that dummy that the will is already broken. That's why people are leaving Massachusetts. But Howie, just one thing. All they have to do is have Bank of America trace people's personal records like they did to the people that went to Washington, D.C., and they can find out who's buying heaters, who's spending money on carbon products, so that they can disclose that personal information and track them down. That's a violation, Howie, what Bank of America did of people's constitutional rights. And it's like you said, it's a form of tyranny. This guy break the will concept, that's like something out of World War II that they're going against the Germans. Says, you know what, Eastern Boston, that there's a lot of people on the east part of Boston that are actually immigrants, and the landlords can't afford to do the improvements because they're not getting rent money.
That's a good point. I mean, how do you retrofit a building that's over 100 years old when you're not getting paid any rent because and there's no plans to make them pay any rent? There's when they say, they haven't paid for 6 months and they can't afford it, so let's give them another 6 months. So then now when they owe a year, are they going to somehow be able to pay? And they're not getting jobs. A lot of them, they're just using this as a vacation. In many cases, unfortunately. Thanks for the call, John. Paul, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Paul.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm calling from the south side of Chicago.
Yes.
And I thought your triple-decker statements were hilarious because out here we have bungalow houses, which are very nice. And when we're rebuilding them, we get shot at.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's an interesting situation where people are telling you don't do anything, but do something.
Well, people are fleeing Chicago and Illinois, just like they're fleeing Boston and the rest of Massachusetts, right, Paul?
No time.
All right, Paul. Thanks for calling and keep listening in Chicago. When we come back, I'm going to read some of the memo from the president's legal team on the eve of the quote-unquote trial. I'm Howie Carr.
Several years ago, we here at Matthews Brothers launched a website called MatthewsBrothers.com. We did this for a couple of reasons. First, it's our name, and it seemed to make sense that we name it after ourselves. Secondly, we thought it would be a useful place to post interesting things about our wicked awesome windows and doors. Shortly after we launched it, this fella, who insists on calling himself the webmaster, told us that he could put anything we wanted to on our website. Since we were getting kind of tired of seeing his vacation photos there, we took him up on his offer. Today, there's so much fun stuff to do on our website, it's like going to a theme park, but without the lines. Or the mask. Do you want to know the closest dealer to you? Even if you're out in the middle of nowhere, or worse yet, New Jersey? We've got a dealer locator for that. Want to page through a colorful catalog without having to lick your fingers? We've got a flip book for that. Accidentally take the bottom sash out of the frame and there's a blizzard coming and you can't get it back in and the factory's closed? We've even got a video for that. You can learn more about our wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T. America's oldest window manufacturer.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top-tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why Duke gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't want to waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now, when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price.
We shall pay any price.
Bear any burden.
Bear any burden.
Accept any challenge and meet any hardship.
Meet any hardship.
To secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children.
To assure the survival and the success of liberty.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children.
The quality of our education.
The quality of their education.
The joy of their play.
For the joy of their play.
Come on, man.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Officer Mark says, I'm a huge fan of private aviation. Light aircraft have neither mufflers nor catalytic converters, so that moron pollutes like it's 1955. Yes, he does. And the thing about having an expired rejection sticker, I never heard of such a thing. I mean, I confess I've had a rejection sticker or two back in the day on my car for being unable to pass for whatever reason, whether it was a catalytic converter or something else. But they I never knew that you could have an expired sticker, a rejection sticker expire, but apparently you can. And that's what this guy had. You would think that someone who's that concerned about piping plovers and Plymouth red-bellied turtles would, immediately go out and whatever the cost would get the catalytic converter or whatever was causing carbon emissions fixed. But he just kept driving around with it as if the rules that other people like ourselves have to abide by don't apply to him because he's a Rhodes Scholar, don't you know? 844-500-4242. So the memorandum that the Trump lawyers laid out today about the trial tomorrow, it's really good. It's very long, but there's some they really lay it out. You know a lot of this stuff, but they put it together in a very readable, cogent, coherent form. On page 7 of the memorandum, the Trump legal team confirms that law enforcement received reports of a potential attack on the Capitol well before Trump's January 6th speech, throwing out the possibility of a sudden incitement by the speech. Here's the quote. Despite going to great lengths to include irrelevant information regarding Mr. Trump's comments dating back to August 2020 and various postings on social media, the House managers are silent on one very chilling fact. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has confirmed that the breach at the Capitol was planned several days in advance of the rally and therefore had nothing to do with the president's speech on January 6th at the Ellipse. According to investigative reports all released after January 6th, the Capitol Police, the NYPD, and the FBI all had prior warning that there was going to be an attack on the Capitol. Embarrassingly enough, even members of the Democrat leadership themselves have admitted on the record, albeit subsequent to January 6th, that they believe the riots were pre-planned, with some, including Representative James Clyburn, the House Democrat whip, he's the number 3 guy in the Democrat leadership, going so far as to accuse fellow House members of coordinating and planning the attack in advance as co-conspirators. Either the president incited the riots, as the article of impeachment claims, or the riots were pre-planned by a small group of criminals who deserve punishment to the fullest extent of the law. One of those people was a guy named John Sullivan from Utah, member of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And he was right there when Ashley Babbitt was shot by the Capitol Police, who they still refuse to identify. Say her name, Ashley Babbitt. Say her name, Ashley Babbitt. The real truth, this again going back to the memorandum, the real truth is that the people who criminally breached the Capitol did so of their own to allow a good crisis to go to waste. The Democrat leadership is incapable of understanding that not everything can always be blamed on their political adversaries, no matter how badly they may wish to exploit any moment of uncertainty on the part of the American people. A simple timeline of events demonstrates conclusively that the riots could not have been inspired by the president's speech at the Ellipse. Then it goes on. Protesters, activists, and rioters had already breached Capitol grounds a mile away from the Ellipse 19 minutes prior to the end of President Trump's speech. The Capitol is 1.6 miles away from Ellipse Park, which is near the White House. This is approximately a 30 to 33-minute walk, et cetera, et cetera. 844-500-4242. We can open up the lines and take some calls on this and other matters as well. Let's have Steve Ducey. He also went after Jen Psaki today. Peter Ducey, excuse me. Sorry. Making the same mistake as Jen Psaki. He's pressing her on Richard Trumka, the head of this AFL-CIO, the nation's biggest union, on how Keystone shutdown cost so many thousands of jobs, union jobs, blue-collar jobs, good-paying jobs, real jobs, not like being a bundler for solar energy or a climate grifter like David Ismay. Cut 49.
Richard Trumka, who is a longtime friend of Joe Biden, says about that day one Keystone EO, he says, I wish he, the president, had paired that more carefully with the thing that he did second by saying here's where we are creating the jobs. So there's partial evidence from Richard Trumka.
Well, you didn't include all of his interview. Would you like to include the rest?
So how about this? The Laborers International Union of North America said the Keystone decision will cost 1,000 existing union jobs and 10,000 projected construction jobs.
Well, what Mr. Trump also indicated in the same interview was that President Biden has proposed a climate plan with transformative investments in infrastructure and laid out a plan that will not only create millions of good union jobs, but also help tackle the climate crisis.
And when will those jobs be available, Jen? And is this going to be as successful a transformative effort as, Solyndra and ABC Battery and was it Waltham and all those other great solar adventures that the Biden-Obama administration proposed way back when? 844-500-4242. So they want a $50,000 cancellation of student debts. That's what Ilhan Omar is proposing, and so it's been suggested that perhaps the nation could afford $10,000. This is like, you run up a $50,000 credit card bill, and the company says we'll give you $10,000 off of it. You did take on this debt voluntarily, but we'll give you a $10,000 discount. And you say, no, that's not enough. That's what Ilhan Omar is saying here. Cut 29.
The average student debt is more than $35,000. We know that $10,000 is not going to make a dent. We want people to have the ability to not worry about making their student debt loan payments in a time during a pandemic where they are severely struggling to put food on the table and keep roof over their heads.
What happened? How did people get these student loan debts, Representative Omar? Some people did something. Again, if students are going to get $10,000 or $50,000, everybody should get $10,000 or $50,000 off their. Have a multiple choice form on the income tax. Do you want $50,000 off your mortgage payments, your credit card bills, your car payments? How about property taxes? How about you just take a so you got you pay $5,000 a year in property taxes. I want a 10-year moratorium. I'll take that as my $50,000. I don't want to pay property taxes for the next 10 years. Will that be okay? Oh no, it won't be, because there are a lot of hacks down at City Hall or Town Hall that want me to support them. So I guess that's not permissible. 844-500-4242. How about this one? And then this is another great. This isn't an executive order, but it's another indignity for the motorists of the United States of America. The new Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, is now issuing an ominous warning. More bike lanes are on the way. Cut 27.
I think it's safe to say that our old patterns of life, the 9 to 5, Monday through Friday commuting patterns, are not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, and so how might that change what your staff does?
We think trains, planes, and automobiles, but what about bikes, scooters, wheelchairs for that matter?
Those are things you plan to pay more attention to.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, roads aren't only for vehicles. We got to make sure that pedestrians and individuals and bicyclists and businesses can all coexist on the same roadway.
So is he saying there's not only going to be bike lanes, there's going to be scooter lanes and wheelchair lanes? Are they going to be 3 different lanes for bicycles, wheelchairs, and scooters? What about unicycles? What about tricycle? What about a tricycle lane? We need them too, don't we? 844-500-4242. Charlie Baker, is taking the heat. And I wrote a column today saying there's a new they just combined Tufts health plan and the Harvard Pilgrim health plan, and the guy who put the deal together is 71, and he just announced last week he's retiring, and so the new company, which hasn't even got a name yet, announced that they're going to have a nationwide search to pick a CEO, and apparently the rumor at the State House is it's going to be Charlie Parker, that he wants to evacuate the State House because, he's doesn't want to stay in the rubble that he's created as the worst governor in the history. Did this just happen? Yeah, it happened. Actually, I heard that they were talking about this as early as September, but now it's really picking up steam now that the CEO of the combined company has officially retired and they've announced the nationwide search is to begin. But he's definitely feeling the heat. He's like, he comes on these at these press conferences. He's like a hunted animal, and he mispronounces words. He's all confused. Cut 3.
To make sure that all of our people here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are able to weather the final few months of this as people get vaccinated.
But are they going to be able to, when you say they're going to be able to weather it, well, what about weathering it? Will they be able to weather it? 844-500-4242. And then I've read now that the vaccine distribution in Massachusetts is somewhere it's gone down to between 44th and 48th place among the states. They're just not they're just not getting it out. It's because of the hackorama. It's run by the Department of Public Health. The last time they were given a serious mission, they falsified 65,000 drug tests, you may recall, when Sonia Farrak and Annie Duquesne were working in the criminal drug labs in Amherst and Jamaica Plain. So now Charlie Parker, third highest death rate in the country, first highest nursing home death rate in the country, fourth highest rate of job loss in the country. Guess what? Cut 13.
I would describe the performance of the hotline so far as very successful. A lot of people have called it, and a lot of people got appointments as a result, which is exactly what it was intended to do.
It's very maybe compared to being number 1 in nursing home deaths and number 3 overall deaths and number 4 in job losses. Maybe it's a success compared to that. 844-500-4242. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
Hey, you were talking earlier about that climate change guy with the private plane.
Yes.
Not only they have no catalytic converters or whatever, but because the engine has to be high performance, the aviation fuel is leaded.
Oh no. But what about the polar bears, John?
Well, just think now that
so now your grandparents aren't even going to be able to go on a bus to buy their groceries or to go to the doctors. They're going to have to walk. So that Ishmael can have more fun on his when he rents a private plane if he doesn't own one. Thanks for the call, John. Frank, you're next with Howie Carr.
You get a live. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Hold on, everybody. February is recognized as American Heart Month, but talking about supporting heart health isn't enough. Nearly half of all U.S. adults have heart health concerns. That's why I try to. My mother died of a heart condition. It runs in the family. We live to be pretty old, but usually that's what takes us out. That's why I take Super Beets Heart Chews daily. I don't really exercise, and I've lost a lot of weight over the last few years. But I take the Super Beets Heart Chew. I take 2 a day. It gives me the cardiovascular support, and it promotes the heart healthy energy that everybody needs every day. I'm holding it up, a bag in my hand. These are delicious. You just take 2 a day. They come in foil like candy. I'm holding it up right now. They taste good, but they're good for you. Super Beets Heart Chews combine non-GMO beets and clinically researched grapeseed extract shown to be twice as effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. In addition to a healthy diet and exercise, supplementing your efforts with Super Beets Heart Chews to your daily routine is an easy decision to make to support healthy blood pressure and heart health. I love the way it tastes. It gives me a little boost of energy. I take it before I go out on my bike ride in the morning, and then I take one before the show. Today, I took one a little later. If you're on the YouTube, the social media, you saw me eat one about 15 minutes ago. I feel great. It's tasty. It tides me over too till dinner. And now, when you buy a bag of Super Beets Heart Chews, you can get a second bag for 50% off plus free shipping when you make your purchase at superbeetsradio.com/Howie. That's superbeetsradio.com/Howie. superbeetsradio.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Defensive Strategies in Manchester, New Hampshire. Defensive Strategies is the premier firearms training company in southern New Hampshire with more than 100 classes from beginner to instructor level. Come to where the trainers train. Visit defensivestrategies.org.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it.
Right here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony. Hey, this guy's a great big phony.
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing a hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
The Howie Carr Show.
I just told you about the rumor that Charlie Parker wants to flee the rubble that was Massachusetts and go to become the new CEO of this merged healthcare company, Tufts Health and Harvard Pilgrim Health. 781 responds, Charlie Parker destroyed the state with his COVID response, and now he wants to run a healthcare company, ? When does Rod Serling step out from the shadows to set up the episode. That's what they always say. 781, truth is stranger than fiction. Frank, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Frank.
Howie, what's this deja vu with Biden and Obama there with the shovel-ready jobs there?
Exactly.
$9 billion bailout.
Exactly. Shovel-ready. Remember that? Where they want to have all the shovel-ready jobs, and then what, 4, 5, 6 years later, Obama just stood up there and laughed and said some of those shovel-ready jobs weren't so shovel-ready, and then he started chuckling like it was a big joke, Frank, right?
Yeah, I had to retire in 2010 because I was already out of work. I worked in construction there, heavy construction, and I had to retire because there was no more work. I was out a year out of work there, and I lost 8 years out of 44 years in the union.
Ugh.
We used to dream about those pipeline jobs and stuff like that there. That, those were the fancy jobs they always talked about. Oh, it's going to break next year, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And unlike jobs like the Big Dig, I mean, that was just a waste of money, ultimately. I mean, it made the traffic slightly better, but it was a waste of money. I mean, they were actually getting something done that was going to benefit the entire society with the Keystone Pipeline. I mean, energy independence. Again, Obama, the fool, said it was a pipe dream, that it couldn't be done. We couldn't drill our way out of this mess. But we did drill our way out of this mess. And what's the first thing Biden does? He puts us back in the mess. And then he wants to let in illegal aliens. Such a mess. And tomorrow the impeachment trial starts. I'm Howie Carr.